I know. You're all sitting at home right now, and it still hasn't sunk in with you yet either. We thought it'd last forever. We thought it'd be something we'd talk about for years. We still might. But as of right now, at 309 days, the streak is ended. It's over, and at the hands of a very familiar foe. Welcome back, folks. It is Brett, the owner of the Hulkamaniacs and the host of the FTFL Weekly Update. Of course, on a bit of a sad note this week, really kind of just still trying to pick up the pieces from what was a 309-day streak without losing a game. More, though, on that later, because let's be honest, there was a lot that went down the FTFL this week. Holy moly, trades. As we were rolling film on Wednesday night, there were trades going down, and trades aplenty. Some franchises completely altering the way they look and their futures going forward. First and foremost, Swart involved in both of these trades. Now, he, before the draft, had traded to get LeSean McCoy. Gave Sid his second this year and his third next year to get McCoy. We found out McCoy really wasn't around much for more than a cup of coffee. But before we get to that, he gave up also now his first and second for next year. That's right. He no longer has a first, a second, or a third at all next year. All of them belonging to Sid Hagen, who is slowly and not so quietly building what could potentially be a huge team to take on for years to come. Of course, Sid parted with Kareem Hunt after just one game as a pro. Now, albeit a huge game, but one game, parted with Kareem Hunt, his 5th and his 10th round picks next year, gave up, or in return, got CJ Anderson and Swart's first and a second. A huge haul for a player, probably the most ever in history, and it may never be touched again. One game. First round pick, second round pick, and a starting running back on another team. Now, this week, it worked out in Swart's favor, but we'll see. Now, also, Swart wasn't done because his next trading partner, Jeff Markser, dealing with questions of his own. Of course, David Johnson goes down. How much time is he going to miss? Needs to fill some holes at running back. So what does Jeff Markser do? He sends LeGarrette Blount and Antonio Brown, one of his keepers, one of the absolute best players in all of fantasy football, to Adam Swart for LeSean McCoy and T.Y. I've got no quarterback at the moment, Hilton. Again, this week, that trade did not go in Jeff's favor. Adam Swart's team looks to be going well, at least as of now, although buyer beware, Mr. Swart, this toilet bowl right here, let me just open this up here. Let's see, where is it? Adam Saltmarsh, not the computer, not an 08. Gosh, Adam Saltmarsh, you're on here so much. Where is it? Let's see here. Let's see, something about sold the farm. Here it is. 2011, Adam Saltmarsh tried to buy the farm, but ended up with a handful of beans. Mr. Swart, that fate could be yours, and you can find yourself on the toilet bowl if things go south. And by that, I mean if you don't win the whole thing, and that's the only thing that'll keep you off of this. I mean, now that we've covered all that, we still have games to get to. And oh, by the way, 2 other things. One, believe it or not, trading away all your picks wasn't the only Diesem that was going on this week. Because no, let me tell you, we have a huge breaking story, the case of the wrong Jimmy. That's right, folks, the case of the wrong Jimmy. And lastly, a special profile on the people of Middle Spunk Creek, who this week made a huge splash in the trade news and then followed it up with a massive performance in the game. Speaking of the games, that is where we go next. First off, the Architect at 1-0 taking on the Pack Attack at 1-0, the game of the week. 2 undefeated teams heading into battle, and only one of them will remain undefeated. That is the Pack Attack score of 97, Architect score of 70. If you're Matt, the 3-headed running back monster I preached about last week actually regressed. Who knew that Zeke Elliott would head into Denver and get completely throttled? I guess some of us might have known that DeMarco Murray was at some point going to fall apart like a wet paper sack. Between the 3 of them, 21.5 points. That's 2.5 less than last week, and not any sort of part of a winning formula. Brandon Cooks in New England, 3 points. 2 games in, I know it's early, but is he going to get going? or is that just going to be a giant bust-a-palooza? If you're Eric, everything's coming up. Millhouse, Ty Montgomery, 21 points. Huge week for him. Not the greatest week, of course, for the Packers. DeGrog threw up 19 and then probably got hurt. Who knows? Will he miss time? Time will tell. Drew Brees with 18. Larry Fitzgerald in the starting lineup with 1.5. Martavis Bryant on the bench with 13.5. Welcome back, Martavis Bryant. If this is a sign of things to come, add him to Eric's lineup. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, the only remaining undefeated team at 2-0, actually I take that back, because Sid's there too, gets even better. Onwards, next game, and here it is, folks. Bazinga at 0-1, taking on the people of Middle Spunk Creek at 0-1. Someone's getting off the schneid, but before we get to that, this very special guest, local high school teacher, here to talk now about the people of Middle Spunk Creek. Hello and good evening. Now, I am local high school geography teacher. I at one point in time applied to actually work near the Middle Spunk Creek in small, teeny, tiny town of Avon, Minnesota. It was a good interview, I thought, but the people there all seemed rather bitter and went on and on about living in the shadow of St. Cloud, and nobody thinks us or all takes us seriously. I don't know what happened, but they didn't hire me, and let me tell you, what a mistake that was. I just have this map here that I don't know who put this together, but the Middle Spunk Creek, it's right here in the middle, and it kind of runs between these three lakes. Now, there is 3 lakes, and they only got one of them right. You would think the top one is Upper Spunk Lake, then Middle, and then Lower Spunk Lake, but you would be wrong. Look, here is 94, right here, and this top one is called Lower Spunk Lake, then the Middle Spunk, oh, you got that one right. Good job there, Avon, folks. And then the lower one says Upper Spunk Creek. I think that is absolute garbage. These people have no idea they made huge mistake, and they will regret it for the rest of their days. Oh, man. Somebody's just a little bit bitter with his lot in life. Oh, boy. Well, I guess we now know a little bit more about the people of Middle Spunk Creek. Not that I'm fully convinced that that's the whole story. Maybe we'll hear more in the future. Speaking of the people in Middle Spunk Creek, again, all sorts of trades, giving up all sorts of future assets for the right here and now. And right here and now looks pretty good at 102.5. Bazinga only 64.5. I don't remember the last time Andy's team started the season 0-2. Things don't look good. Before the season started, Cameron Meredith got hurt, out. This week, Greg Olson broke his foot, gone. Jordan Howard has a shoulder injury. Injuries just piling up left and right like the wings at an all-you-can-eat night on Diesem's plate. I guess the one bright spot, Alshon Jeffrey, 15.5 points. Amari Cooper, only 4. Drafted way ahead of Michael Crabtree, who was stealing all sorts of points. We'll get to later. Emmanuel Sanders had 19 on the bench, but really not anything that was going to matter all that much because of the point differential. If you are Adam Swart, you had 5 people in double digits, including, of course, the Kareem Akazi, 23.5. Now, most of those points came mid to late third quarter and on. It was really starting to look like, whoops, I made a big mistake. But in the end, we find out that, at least for another week, that's not the case. Derek Carr threw in 22. Tyler Eifert, 3.5 points. The whole Bengals offense right now is struggling. AJ Green, I'm looking at you, brother. But so I don't know. Again, that's another thing that is not really an issue right now for Adam Swart because his team is absolutely piling up points. And if Kareem Hunt, holy moly, continues to be the dominating force that he is, maybe, just maybe, Adam can keep his name off of the toilet bowl seat. Next up, John Linkowitz at 0-1, taking on Mana, 3-time champ Mana, Jeff Markser. And would you believe it? Mana goes down to John Team Linkowitz. 81.5 to 60. Now, of course, the week started off with David Johnson no longer being available. What was going to happen? You get LaShawn McCoy. Is that going to make a difference? The answer is no. He had 5 points. Leonard Fournette, another nice, solid week, 11 points. Delaney Walker, actually the high scorer for Jeff, a tight end with 12. Cam Newton, 4. The Carolina offense looks like it's kind of the Carolina offense of last year, which is not great news for Jeff. One of course, his arguing points with losing David Johnson, like, listen, I've got 2 of the Seattle running backs. I'm going to be fine. There are nothing but question marks in the Seattle running back depth chart. I don't know who's playing, who's healthy, who could even gain a yard right now for that rushing offense. If you're John, good news. Todd Gurley, 21.5 points. Looks like he's back to rookie form. He had Mike Gillisley, who played this week. Nice job, John. 10 points, and really nothing to speak of on the bench. A good week for John. Not a great week, but it is a win, and as of right now, he is tied for the lead in the North Division in the FTFL. All right, we're going to take a break from the games. It is now time once again for everybody's favorite segment here on the FTFL Weekly Update, the Magic 8 Ball. Now, last week we threw a couple new predictions out there. Of course, the week before we were 2 of 2. Eric getting the Diesem. We got to wait on that one. Last week, when I went to the press, I guess I hadn't really fully read up. I wasn't all caught up to the news of the NFL. Andrew Luck was already out. 0 for 1 on that. Sorry, Magic 8 Ball. I kind of take part of the blame for that. Brett being a contender, David Johnson, Hosen, Jeff Markser, both of those took a hit this week, but it's way too early to say for sure. On to this week's questions. Magic 8 Ball, here we go. Will Adam Swart regret giving up all of those picks for next year? Magic 8 Ball, bless us with your wisdom, and here it is. It says, let me shake it loose here, shake it loose. It's stuck on an edge. Means it's really struggling with what's one. Oh, ask again later. Darn. Then again, I guess we have to wait and see how this plays out. All right, question number 2. Did Jeff Markser, speaking of trades and Adam Swart, did Jeff Markser panic by trading away Antonio Brown for LaShawn McCoy, giving up quite possibly the best receiver in all of fantasy? Was Jeff Markser panicking? You may rely on it. I was afraid of that. Tough times ahead for you, Jeff Markser. And lastly, question number 3, last question this week for the Magic 8 Ball. Was it the computer's fault? It is decidedly so. All these years, we've been blaming the people. We should have been blaming the computer. Saltmarsh, you weren't on something. You were on to something. That's it for this week's Magic 8 Ball segment. Now on to the final 2 games. And we've come to the moment, folks. 309 days since my last loss. In my career against Ryan Diesem, 2 wins, 15 losses. Make it 16, 90-83. The Hulkamaniacs fall this week. For the Hulkamaniacs, Mike Evans, 15.5. That dude is as good as advertised. And then some. Aaron Rodgers, 18 in an okay week. The Ravens defense, 17 points. In 2 weeks since picking them up, for $1, I have gotten 41 points off of that pickup. Might be the single greatest addition to a team ever via free agency. The big dud, though, right here, the foreshadow, is Bilal Powell, 0 points. Got to have something more, especially when I'm losing only by 7. If you're decent, it all begins and ends with Michael touchdown stealing Crabtree. 3 of them this week, 25 points total. Kelsey throws in a 10-point touchdown for 16. Carson Palmer throws in a late, cheap 10-point touchdown. Both of those push Diesem over the edge, get him the win. Now, Jordy got you a 0, and I don't know what the status of Jordy is going forward. Trust me, in this situation, I'm pulling for you because I don't want to see Jordy miss any time, being the huge Packers fan that I am. I guess we go back to the beginning all the way. Hopefully this week we can say day 1. Diesem, yes, your streak is now like 4 or 5 days old. Streaks are made to be broken. Records are made to fall. I guess it was just my time. Last game of the week. The Radioactive Monkeys coming in at 0-1 versus Cramerica at 1-0. And again, last week I talked about how Sid's team coming into this season, with only Terrell Pryor as a keeper, had the 3rd best team after the draft. This was before we knew Kareem Hunt was going to be anything. He takes away Kareem Hunt, throws in C.J. Anderson, and if the Denver offense has figured something out. Now, I don't know where Dallas' defense is at, but boy, oh boy, if Trevor Siemian is even a halfway decent quarterback, with that defense, C.J. Anderson is going to get points. And then, oh yes, that's right, Sid has Swart's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round picks next year. Sid blows the doors off of the Monkeys, moves to 2-0. The Monkeys fall to 0-2, 110.5 to 67. Melvin Gordon for the Monkeys at 13.5. The Pittsburgh defense at 10. Matt Ryan at 10. Everyone else is under 10. And his pickup, trying to, I guess, undermine his business partner, Jeff Markser, by picking up Kerwin Williams. I don't know if Jeff wanted him or not, but he went and got him, and it got him a big fat 0. If you're Sid, boy, points everywhere. Brady had 30. CJ newly acquired Anderson, 23.5. Jason newly acquired Witten picked up 17. Not Jimmy Graham, might I add. And don't worry, I haven't forgot. We're going to get to that. Devontae Adams, 16. Terrell Pryor, his lone keeper going to the season, got him a paltry 3, but obviously the slack was picked up. 110.5 points. Moves to 2-0, and right now the most dominant team in the FTFL. All right, we're going to wrap this episode up. Here we go. Stud of the week, Michael Crabtree. Had to go to him. Not the highest scorer, but the person that had the biggest impact for his team. 25 points, 3 touchdowns. Michael Crabtree might not have another 3-touchdown game in his entire life, unless, of course, he plays against me again. Dud of the week, Bilal Powell, 0 this week. You've got 4.5 on the season, which, of course, meant you had 4.5 than last week. That is not enough for one of my starting running backs. I need running back help. I added Chris Thompson this week. I don't know if that's going to make up the difference, but boy, oh boy, you picked a really sour week to throw a 0 on the board. This week, the Diesem Award update. Boy, I'm going to get there eventually. We have finally come to the moment, folks. Middle of last week, a text was sent to a couple individuals stating, hey, I just dropped the wrong guy. Can I have him back? It was a mistake. The response was, we've been here before. This is on you. You are responsible, not the computer, although the Magic 8 Ball said otherwise. It just so happened that Sid Hagen was attempting to drop Jimmy Garoppolo, again, the only person to ever handcuff a quarterback. He wanted to drop Jimmy Garoppolo. Instead, he dropped Jimmy Graham. That's right, folks. It was the wrong Jimmy. Go way back in the toilet bowl. We've seen this. We've been there. The wrong John. No, this time, the wrong Jimmy. Sid can't quite get his Jimmy straight. It cost him $1. And then, in an attempt to get him back, at 12:06 a.m., I want to think it was Thursday or Friday morning, tries to go get him, but at 12 a.m., the waiver submission had gone through, and Jimmy Graham is now a proud member of Team Bazinga, and Cameron Brate instead is a member of Cramerica Industries. Both of these, from trading away all the picks to having dropped the wrong same-named player, are on the toilet bowl seat. How anything else going forward even is a consideration is beyond me. Woo! It's been one heck of a week 2. It's in the books. We look forward to week 3. Here are the matchups. Hulkamaniacs at 1-1 taking on Manamana at 1-1. Both teams looking to get back on the winning track. Team Bazinga 0-2 taking on the Architect at 1-1. Team Bazinga searching out his first victory of the season. Team surprisingly first place Linkowitz at 1-1 taking on the people of Middle Spunk Creek at 1-1. Also Ryan Diesem Cities and Balls at 1-1 taking on the Radioactive Monkeys, who we're hoping enough to get off the schneid. They are 0-2. But the game of the week is Pack Attack versus Cramerica, both 2-0. The winner will be the lone undefeated team left in the FTFL. We are 2 weeks in, 11 weeks to go in the regular season. Things are just now starting to heat up. I myself am heating up too. I can't wait for the games this weekend. Thank you all again for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you next time on the FTFL Weekly Update. This is Brett, signing off.